Dude, I gotta tell you, I saw this clip the other day, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. King Charles. Yeah, our King Charles, the guy who used to be the prince forever, he said something about Islam that just completely threw me off. And not in a bad way, but in that, wait a second, did he really just say that kind of way? Because you don't expect that, right? You don't expect the King of England, this dude who literally represents centuries of Western monarchy and empire, to come out and say something that actually sounds respectful, even admiring about Islam. It's like the simulation glitched for a second. He wasn't saying it like some political PR thing either. It sounded genuine, like he's been thinking about it for a long time. And that's the part that kind of freaked me out, because it made me realize, man, we live in this weird time where saying anything about religion, especially Islam, that isn't negative or loaded with disclaimers, instantly shocks peep. And that shock says more about us than it does about what he said. It's like the cultural reaction reveals our conditioning. We've been trained to hear Islam and brace ourselves like something controversial is about to follow. That's wild, right? So King Charles, of all people, starts talking about how Islam has this deep spiritual connection to nature, how it sees the universe as a reflection of divine order, and how Western civilization has lost that sense of sacredness. I mean, holy shit, that's a big statement. Coming from a Himi. The dude lives in palaces, surrounded by gold and portraits of ancestors wearing crowns, but he's out here talking about humility before the divine? That's not what you expect from royalty, and it makes you wonder, maybe he's seen enough of the world to realize that the West, for all its science and progress, kind of hollowed itself out spiritually. I think that's what caught me, because if you strip away the politics and the history and all the loaded stuff, what he's actually saying is kind of beautiful. He's talking about this human hunger to feel connected to something greater, something that gives meaning beyond the daily grind. And Islam, like so many spiritual traditions, has a whole framework built around that. Submission to the divine, unity, balance, those aren't just religious ideas, they're psychological ones. They speak to that part of the human brain that needs structure and purpose. But here's the crazy part. Most people don't want to hear that. The second you bring up religion, people tense up, especially in the West. It's like we've become allergic to reverence. Everything has to be ironic, cynical, or detached. We've turned belief itself into something embarrassing. And that's why I think what Charles said hits so differently, because it's almost rebellious. The King of England being reverent towards something spiritual from outside the Western bubble? That's punk rock, man. You can tell he's been studying this stuff too. The guy's not dumb. He's been talking about interfaith understanding and environmental spirituality for decades. He's been into Sufism, the mystical side of Islam, which is all about seeing God in everything. That's some deep stuff. It's not political, it's metaphysical. It's like he's looking at the planet and saying, we're destroying this beautiful system because we forgot it's sacred. And honestly, that resonates. Whether you're religious or not, that hits home. We've got this civilization built on consumption and distraction, and we're shocked when someone reminds us there might be something divine behind all of it. But it's weird because we live in this age of extremes. You've got people who hate religion entirely. They think it's all superstition and control. And then you've got people who use religion as a weapon to divide. There's not a lot of space in the middle anymore, where someone can just say, hey, there's wisdom here, maybe we should listen. That's what I think Charles was trying to do. He wasn't saying, Islam is right, everyone else is wrong. He was saying this tradition holds something we've lost, and that's a hard pill to swallow for a culture that thinks it's got everything figured out. It's fascinating to me because if you zoom out, this is really about how humans deal with meaning. Like we've got more knowledge, more comfort, more freedom than any civilization ever, but we're more anxious, more disconnected, more nihilistic. There's something missing in the software. And when someone like King Charles, a literal king, looks to Islam and says, hey, maybe these guys have a key we dropped along the way. It's like the Matrix shudders for a second. The West prides itself on reason and individuality, but maybe that's not enough. Maybe reason without reverence just turns into burnout. And I'm not even saying Islam has all the answers. No system does. But man, something powerful about the way it integrates the sacred into daily life. You pray 5 times a day, you're constantly reminded that life isn't just random chaos. You fast, you give charity, you structure your existence around gratitude and humility. That's deep. That's discipline with purpose. It's like a built-in mental training program for the soul. And I think that's what Charles was hinting at, that this constant remembrance of the divine creates balance. Meanwhile, we've got people worshiping algorithms, chasing dopamine hits from likes and notifications. We don't bow to anything bigger than ourselves anymore, and it shows. You can feel the emptiness. You can feel the collective anxiety of a culture that doesn't know what to believe in. And then the king goes, hey, maybe look at this tradition that still believes the world is sacred. And everyone's like, what? How dare you? That's how disconnected we are. Reverence itself sounds subversive. Pri. It's weird, man, because when you think about if humanity ever figures itself out, it's probably not going to be through more tech or politics. It's going to be through rediscovering that spiritual language we've forgotten how to speak. And that's what made this whole thing stick with me. It wasn't about Islam versus the West or religion versus science. It was about remembering that maybe, deep down, we're all reaching for the same mystery. King Charles, the ultimate symbol of tradition and empire, saying something that bridges worlds instead of dividing them. That's wild. It's like he momentarily stepped outside the role of king and just spoke as a human being who's searching. And that's what's beautiful about it, because at the end of the day, that's what we all are. A bunch of weird monkeys on a rock, trying to make sense of the infinite. And maybe that's the real point. Maybe the most radical thing any of us can do right now is to slow down, look at the world, and admit we don't have it all figured out. To see beauty where we used to see different. To find humility in places our egos tell us to avoid. That's what I think the king was getting at. And whether you agree with him or not, you've got to admit, it's pretty damn cool to see someone in that position still trying to understand the mystery instead of pretending to own it.